Spider-Man Brand New Day released its first official trailer, and people are hyped on it. I obviously am incredibly hyped. We have a lot of cool shots in this movie, a bunch of comic book references, a whole bunch of characters joining in, and teases on what this movie could actually be about without actually spoiling something on what this movie is really going to be about. We don't even know who the actual main villain is. Many people are speculating that it is going to be Mr. Sinister. Some people are somehow thinking that it could be Tombstone. Sadie Sink is cast as a character that many people are thinking is Jean Grey. Maybe she's going to have a big part of the movie because it seems like it. We've had a couple of moments in the trailer where she is not on screen, but we assume it's her. Or, as confirmed in the casting, William Metzgar, who in the comics is the head of an anti-mutant militia hate group and stuff like that. So, with mutants slowly coming into the MCU, especially post-Secret Wars potentially, and if Jean Grey is in this movie, he might be the villain of the movie, and Spider-Man might get roped into it. But the main connecting point in this movie is the fact that Peter is going through a change. And that is what we're going to jump into for this video and what that can mean for the movie. But before we jump into things, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos, and hype up the video to boost it in the algorithm. Really helps me. It shows you guys enjoy what I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. But let's jump into this video. So the basic synopsis of Brand New Day so far is that 4 years after No Way Home, which it's basically been about 5 years real world time since No Way Home, which is crazy. But since then, Peter has basically not only been going to college after getting his GED, but he's basically in a different place where he is right now, where everybody he knows and loves does not know he exists anymore. They all forgot about him. And so now he's basically more or less becoming a full-time Spider-Man. He has no personal life. We don't even know if he has any income besides that. For all we know, he might actually be doing like photos for the Daily Bugle for J. Jonah Jameson, like in the comics, for all we know, so we can at least have some income by profiting off of him being a Spider-Man, just so we can actually, live and afford, suiting up his web shooters and stuff like that. But he is losing that balance of Spider-Man and Peter Parker. He's going further and further into Spider-Man. And so now he's going through this type of mutation evolutionary change. As it was being said by Keith David in the trailer, but if you recognize the voice, freaking Keith David, no idea who he's going to be playing in the movie, if that's going to be the case, talking about how spiders have 3 life goals, and in between these cycles, they are vulnerable. So Peter is going through this type of evolution or change in his mutation that gave him his spider powers, and he's got organic webbing now, as we see him like going out of a cocoon that he's just hanging off of from the side of a building in an alleyway, as it's pretty heavily implied that he's developed organic webbing. Now with that, we automatically know, if you're a comic book fan, it's going to be one of 2 things that's going to be adapted and used for the live action movie. Either A, we're going to get Man-Spider. I primarily know about Man-Spider from the 90s cartoon Spider-Man the Animated Series, where there was a storyline where Peter's mutation was going, progressing more and more to the point where he grew extra arms and started to become a literal giant spider. And it was terrifying as a kid, I'm not gonna lie. Now, for that to be a live action thing for Spider-Man, I don't know, that would be an interesting way to go about things, and it could also be another way of making it a more physical change to Peter based on how he's progressing with his life, because he's going more towards the spider aspect of himself, no longer the man, losing that balance of Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And that also means that his mutation is progressing in that way into being more of a spider creature because of his mental state. He's no longer with MJ and his best friend Ned. He's seeing them progress in their lives and being happy. He lost Aunt May in No Way Home. He has no support system. He is all alone. And seemingly, he's not even just having any sort of friendly relationships with other superheroes in Manhattan. Also, I just love that scene he has with the Punisher in this movie. I really hope he's a recurring character in this movie instead of just in some like random montages for what's going on. It would be hilarious to see Frank and Peter's interactions with each other. Peter treating the Punisher as this would be hilarious. But despite that, treating this as a more of a physical manifestation of Peter's change in perspective and his way of life could show how unhealthy it is for him to be a full-time Spider-Man, because it's drastically affecting his mental state. And we see that in the movie. He's barely smiled, he's collapsing, and he's going through his change. That could also mean that his powers are also on the fritz. Yeah, he's developed organic webbing, but based throughout certain aspects of the trailer, he is just going back and forth, and has kind of been, seemingly his spider sense might not be working the way it should. So that could be another aspect to it. Now, outside of the man spider thing, we could also add this mental state to aspect of Spider-Man's powers changing to this other portion, and that is adapting the mid-2000s storyline, The Other. Now, this was part of Marvel's big push in terms of synergizing the comics with the live-action movies, because it was after Sam Raimi's Spider-Man came out and they decided to do the organic webbing. So I wanted to basically try and line up these interpretations of the characters in terms of their powers. So in this storyline, The Other, Peter started to develop his own mutation, and he basically became part of a totem in terms of this mystical, interdimensional thing, like a more mystic side of the character. The Other is a spider totem connected to the web of life throughout the multiverse and all that stuff, and is one of the physical manifestations of the spider. And in the storyline, Peter also goes into a cocoon and meets the Other, this spiritual manifestation of the spider. And so when that happens, and this is after a near-death experience, Peter basically comes out of this anew, accepting that spider, and basically develops organic webbing, enhanced strength. He can see in the dark. He's able to feel vibrational frequencies through his webbings like an actual spider. And he developed new abilities. And this is also coinciding with one of his deadliest enemies, Morlun, who a lot of people will probably know him more recently as one of the Inheritors, interdimensional family that basically feast on the life force of totems. And Peter, as a spider totem, is definitely one of Morlun's targets. And if we're going by that logic, Morlun is probably going to be like a secret villain in this movie, perhaps, and is hunting Spider-Man, because there is a scene in this trailer where something is lunging from mind to mind, from an old lady somehow in a tank to another soldier somewhere up. People speculate that it's Jean Grey. Others could be Mr. Negative. Both are very possible things. There was an X-Men villain that I completely forgot who it was that also has the ability to possess people. But it could be one of them. Or this could be a way to showcase a different adaptation of Morlun and set him up as the real final villain for Spider-Man to have to face while he's going through this personal and physical change as The Other. Now, I don't know if we're really going to get into that as a storyline. Maybe once as he's going through this whole life cycle mutation thing, maybe he does accept The Other, gains these new abilities, but he manages to maintain himself as being Peter, as throughout this movie, I feel like we're going to be hammering home that he needs some sort of personal relationships. Heck, he goes to the Hulk, Bruce Banner, who seems to be a teacher at his university, in terms of this mutation, obviously being something about Spider-Man and stuff like that, and he's going to learn more about this, but that's probably going to be what's going to be going on. We're going to have all this stuff going on with potentially damage control that's been set up in other Marvel projects. Potentially Kingpin might still be mayor because his assistant is giving him the key to the city in this trailer, but Daredevil Born Again, at the point of me recording this video, is going to release in 2 days. So I have no idea if they're spoiling, Kingpin's not going to be mayor by the time Brand New Day comes out, or Season 2 of Born Again is just going to lead into Brand New Day, and then this will be concluded in maybe a Born Again Season 3 or its own separate thing after Secret Wars and stuff like that. I got no clue. That's a lot of speculation that I'm not going to get into this video. But if we're adapting The Other storyline, I do think that if we probably shouldn't do Morlun. Keep this as a more grounded Spider-Man story, obviously, but keep the mystical aspects of it and make it so that this is happening as, like I said, part of his mental and emotional journey throughout the movie, all while he's still trying to kind of somewhat look after MJ and Ned, as we saw in this trailer. They're next door neighbors, seemingly. So that's going to be an interesting way to go about things. And while he's going through this change, he's probably going to have to open up to other characters. Maybe Bruce Banner the Hulk he'll have to open up to. Maybe the freaking Punisher. Or if Daredevil is in this movie, which I doubt outside maybe an opening montage, that'll be it. Or maybe he'll meet his own Harry Osborn or Sadie Sink's character for some reason, I don't know. But a key aspect of this movie that's being shown through the trailer and the plot synopsis is Peter losing himself in Spider-Man, so he'll have to find some sort of balance within his life to be Peter Parker again. And once that's done, he'll get through this whole spider life cycle mutation thing as not only a stronger Spider-Man, but a more healthier Peter Parker. That's something that I can only hope. And going through all of that, as we said, the potential villains, Mr. Negative does feel like the best villain to really have Peter face off in this instance, because with Mr. Negative's abilities to manipulate people's minds and emotions, he feels like the best villain to face off against when it comes to Peter going through this mental and emotional and then physical change. It feels like it is perfect for the overall themes of the movie. Also, people are wondering why the Hand is in this movie, obviously outside of the opening montage that could potentially be with Daredevil edited out of the trailer, because we've seen this with No Way Home and even Infinity War and stuff like that when it comes to a lot of these trailers. For all we know, Mr. Negative, maybe he hired the Hand to help deal with Spider-Man and the heroes in New York or some stuff like that, or Peter stumbled upon the Hand doing something for Mr. Negative. Perhaps in the MCU, he has a connection to the Hand for some reason, and that's why he's fighting them, especially in that prison scene where he's unmasked, and we see his eyes go black, which could be him fully accepting the other, or maybe if we do the Man-Spider transformation, that's going to be what we're going for. But again, this is a literal 2-minute trailer that is just a whole bunch of stuff, just hammering home Peter's whole imbalance in life, gaining new abilities and trying to make his way in the world while having he's basically just suffering and is not in a good place right now and just losing himself in Spider-Man. And I do feel like this movie is going to have to explore that. I have full faith in the team that this will be a really good movie, but we still have to wait for the next trailer, because I feel like the next trailer will probably give us an idea of who the actual villain is and a bit more clarity on what's going on and whether or not we're doing an adaptation of the other in some way, shape, or form of that storyline, or of Man-Spider, or something, or a mix of the two. That would be interesting to see. But either way, these are just my thoughts on what the trailer is really trying to tell us about Brand New Day, because it is titled Brand New Day. So by the end of this movie, we should have a new Spider-Man, or at least new lease on life for Peter Parker Spider-Man in the MCU. It's also kind of funny that we're jumping right into Doomsday shortly after that, a couple months back over in December, and then straight into Secret Wars due to all the rescheduling. So that's going to be interesting to see. But again, I can't wait to see this movie. The way we had all these shots, I do think some stuff like when we got those little like slow-mo scenes that were just referencing a bunch of Spider-Man covers from the original comic book series and in the Steve Ditko era, and even some a lot more farther along from that in the early hundreds of issues that we had for Spider-Man's comics and Amazing Spider-Man. Those could definitely be touched up a bit by the time that movie comes out, because we still have another like 3 months till that movie comes out. Well, 3.5, but still. All those effects will definitely be done well, and based through this trailer, I went through the story, I should at least give my initial thoughts on how the trailer looks, right? The color palette seems to fit the tone of what the movie is going for. The web swinging looks great. I don't think it's Amazing Spider-Man 2 levels of web swinging just yet from what we've seen, but based on what we've seen in this trailer and what we know about how they were trying to do the web swinging in this movie during, set leaks and stuff like that, I have high hopes that this could be the best web swinging we've seen from a live-action Spider-Man, or a bare minimum in MCU Spider-Man's entire story. So I'm looking forward to that. There's one scene at the beginning of the trailer where Peter's just scrolling his phone upside down from a building. That shot is fantastic. That little in the mask look to give us an idea of the city reflected in Peter's eye. Beautiful, something we haven't seen in a Spider-Man movie. And you can feel the passion and creativity being put in the shots for this movie. And it makes me look forward to see what we will have in store for the actual main film. Also, the guy who directed Shang-Chi is directing this movie. And based on the trailer, it looks like he's nailing it, and I can't wait for a lot more action sequences and how we imagine Spider-Man fighting. Something I forgot to add at the beginning of this video when I was talking about Mr. Negative, since the Hulk is also going to be in this movie, apparently leaks of merchandise and stuff like that suggests that Savage Hulk is going to appear in this movie. I can make an entirely separate video on my thoughts on how Savage Hulk is going to play a role in Spider-Man Brand New Day, but that also kind of confirms that Mr. Negative will probably be a big part of the movie, and he'll probably be the reason why Bruce Banner finally loses control and goes back to Savage Hulk, and we'll have to, hopefully, in other movies, give us a better progression of Bruce Banner and the Hulk's character outside of just a few things in different movies until it was resolved off screen. That really pissed off a lot of fans when we got honestly a boring version of Professor Hulk with basically no character journey to lead up to that. So That would be a good reset. Also, the person that MJ is flirting with in her housewarming party in this trailer, from what I can assume, I swear, if they make this guy Paul, I am going to lose it. Seriously, I will be honest, it will be hilarious to troll comic book fans by having Peter not be remembered by MJ and have her beginning to like see other people. And eventually it'll be like freaking Paul is in this trailer as a way to kind of poke fun of comic fans and also poke fun of just this weird era of Spider-Man comics. Because you mention Paul to a comic book fan of Spider-Man, they will fucking lose it. I will lose it. And if that's the case, very good troll on the writers and directors' parts, because that'll piss off a lot of people for at least 10 seconds. There are theories that it could also be the Jackal that this person that MJ is talking to in that trailer. If the Jackal is somehow a secret villain in this movie or is getting set up in this movie for a future Spider-Man project, many people are going to be super, I'm going to say, cautious and worried, because the Clone Saga is a very divisive and mostly hated and highly criticized storyline, so I have no idea how that could end up turning out. That's just a point of mind I kind of wanted to bring in there. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the trailer and what could happen, specifically with the whole Spider-Man going through a change thing. I'm excited for this movie. I really hope it ends up being good and we get a really great start to the latest Spider-Man trilogy following Tom Holland. But you guys let me know what you thought of the trailer down below. What's your favorite part of it? What do you think is going to happen? Who do you think the actual main villain is going to end up being? And are you going to see it day one? Let me know everything in the comment section down below, and hope you all have an awesome day.